First contact. Dr. Amelia Chen squinted at her computer screen, her eyes aching from hours of staring at endless streams of data. The radio telescope array she managed in New Mexico had been picking up an unusual signal for the past week, and she was determined to decipher its meaning. As she reached for her cold cup of coffee, a pattern in the data caught her eye. "That can't be right," she muttered, leaning in closer. The signal wasn't random noise or some distant pulsar. It was structured, repeating with mathematical precision. Her heart began to race as she realized the implications. This could be it, the moment scientists had dreamed of for decades. With trembling fingers, she dialed her colleague, Dr. James Okonkwo. "James, you need to see this. Now." Within an hour, the control room was buzzing with activity. Scientists from various disciplines huddled around monitors, arguing theories and running analyses. As dawn broke over the New Mexican desert, Amelia stood before her team, her voice steady despite her internal excitement. "Ladies and gentlemen, after rigorous verification, I can confirm that we have received a signal of extraterrestrial origin. We are not alone in the universe." The news spread like wildfire. Within days, every major scientific institution on Earth was focused on the signal. Governments scrambled to form committees and draft protocols. The United Nations convened an emergency session to discuss humanity's response. In New York, UN Secretary General Maya Patel addressed the General Assembly. "This is a moment that will define our species. We must approach this situation with wisdom, unity, and hope. The signal appears to be an invitation for communication. We must answer it." The debate over Earth's response was heated. Some nations pushed for caution, while others advocated for immediate and open communication. In the end, a compromise was reached. A simple mathematical sequence would be broadcast in return, acknowledging receipt of the alien signal and inviting further dialogue. As Earth's message beamed out into space, the waiting began. Days turned into weeks. The world held its breath, united in anticipation like never before. Then, exactly 1 month after Earth's transmission, a new signal arrived. This time, it contained more than mathematical sequences. Embedded within the transmission were instructions, specifications for building a more advanced communication device. The message was clear. The aliens wanted to talk. The next few months were a whirlwind of activity. The best minds from around the globe came together to construct the alien design device. Engineers worked around the clock, piecing together technology that was decades ahead of anything on Earth. Dr. Chen, now heading the international team, stood before the completed device. It was a sleek, silvery construct that hummed with energy. "Well," she said to her assembled colleagues, "shall we say hello?" With the press of a button, the device sprang to life. A holographic display flickered into existence, showing a being unlike anything humans had ever seen. It had a vaguely humanoid shape, but its skin shimmered with bioluminescence, and its eyes were large, multifaceted orbs. The alien spoke, its words instantly translated by the device. "Greetings, people of Earth. We are the Zoraxians, and we come in peace." The room erupted in cheers and tears of joy. Humanity's first conversation with an alien race had begun. Over the next weeks, information flowed between Earth and the Zoraxian homeworld. The aliens shared glimpses of their culture, their history, and their technology. They spoke of a galactic community of intelligent species and hinted at wonders beyond human imagination. But with this knowledge came a sobering reality. The Zoraxians explained that before Earth could join this interstellar society, humanity needed to prove itself worthy. They proposed a meeting, a face-to-face encounter between our species. The announcement of impending alien visitation sent shockwaves through human society. Governments worldwide began preparations, but it quickly became clear that this moment was bigger than any one nation. A new organization was formed, the Earth Diplomatic Corps, EDC, tasked with representing all of humanity in this historic encounter. The selection process for the EDC was rigorous. They needed not just diplomats, but scientists, linguists, and cultural experts, people who could showcase the best of humanity. After months of deliberation, a team of 12 was chosen. Dr. Amelia Chen, the astrophysicist who first detected the signal, was an obvious choice. Joining her was Dr. James Okonkwo, a brilliant xenobiologist. The team also included Maya Patel, the former UN Secretary General, whose calm leadership had guided Earth through the initial contact. Other members brought unique skills to the group. There was Zora Khalid, a prodigy in AI and computer sciences; Gabriel Silva, an anthropologist specializing in first contact scenarios; and Yuki Tanaka, a renowned linguist and expert in nonverbal communication. As the team prepared for their mission, the rest of the world wasn't idle. Schools developed new curricula focusing on xenobiology and interstellar relations. Artists created works imagining alien worlds. Religious leaders came together to discuss the theological implications of extraterrestrial life. The day before the Zoraxian ship was due to arrive, Amelia stood on the roof of the EDC headquarters, gazing at the stars. James joined her, his usual jovial expression replaced by one of quiet contemplation. "Are we ready for this, Amelia?" he asked softly. She turned to him, a small smile on her face. "Ready or not, it's happening. But you know what? I think we are ready. Look at how far we've come in just a few months. We've made more scientific progress, shown more global unity than ever before. Whatever happens tomorrow, we've already proven something about ourselves." James nodded, his optimism returning. "You're right. We've got this." As they stood there, millions of people around the world were holding vigils, praying, or simply looking up at the same stars. Tomorrow, everything would change. Humanity stood on the brink of a new era, ready to take its first steps into a larger universe. The EDC team gathered in the early hours of the morning, each member acutely aware of the weight of responsibility on their shoulders. They were about to become the first humans to meet an alien species face to face. The future of Earth could very well depend on the impression they made. As the sun rose, casting a golden glow over the landing site, a hush fell over the assembled crowd. In the distance, a shimmering light appeared in the sky, growing larger by the second. The Zoraxian ship had arrived, and with it, the dawn of a new age for humanity. The arrival. The Zoraxian ship descended from the sky with a grace that defied its massive size. It was a sight that left even the most composed members of the Earth Diplomatic Corps, EDC, in awe. The vessel resembled a giant, iridescent nautilus shell, its surface shimmering with colors that seemed to shift and change as it moved. As it touched down on the designated landing zone, a collective gasp rippled through the crowd. The ship's size became even more apparent. It was easily the length of several football fields. The area around the landing site fell silent, the air thick with anticipation. Dr. Amelia Chen stood at the forefront of the EDC team, her heart pounding. Beside her, Dr. James Okonkwo fidgeted with his collar, his usual jovial demeanor replaced by nervous energy. Maya Patel, ever the diplomat, maintained a calm exterior, though her eyes betrayed her excitement. For several long moments, nothing happened. Then, with a soft hum, a section of the ship's hull began to shimmer and fade, revealing an opening. A ramp extended to the ground, and the EDC team held their breath. The first Zoraxian to emerge was tall, easily 7 feet in height. Its body was slender and graceful, covered in what appeared to be a fine, iridescent fur that rippled like water with each movement. Large, multifaceted eyes dominated its face, reflecting the world around it in a kaleidoscope of colors. As it moved down the ramp, 3 more Zoraxians followed. Amelia took a deep breath and stepped forward. On behalf of the people of Earth, she began, her voice steady despite her nerves. "We welcome you to our world." The lead Zoraxian tilted its head, the movement fluid and alien. When it spoke, the sound was like music. a complex harmony of tones that seemed to bypass the ears and resonate directly in the mind. "We thank you for your welcome, people of Earth." The alien's thoughts formed in Amelia's mind. "I am Zor Lai, lead diplomat of the Zoraxian Confluence. We come in peace and with hope for mutual understanding." Maya Patel stepped forward, her diplomatic training kicking in. "We are honored by your presence, Zor Lai. We have prepared a welcome ceremony and accommodations for your stay. We hope to learn much from each other." As the formal greetings concluded, both human and Zoraxian delegations moved to a nearby conference center, specially prepared for this historic meeting. The building was a marvel of human engineering, designed to accommodate both species comfortably. Inside, the real work began. The next few hours were a whirlwind of introductions, presentations, and initial discussions. The humans were fascinated by every aspect of the Zoraxians, their biology, their technology, their culture. Equally, the aliens seemed genuinely curious about Earth and its inhabitants. Dr. James Okonkwo was in his element, eagerly discussing Zoraxian biology with one of the alien scientists. "Your bioluminescent fur," he said, gesturing excitedly, "is it a form of communication?" The Zoraxian, who had introduced itself as Zorven, rippled its fur in what James interpreted as amusement. "Indeed," came the thought response. "It is both communication and sensory organ. We can perceive a much wider spectrum of light than your species." Meanwhile, Zara Khalid, the AI specialist, was deep in conversation with another Zoraxian about their advanced computer systems. The alien technology was leagues beyond anything on Earth, yet Zara's insightful questions and quick grasp of new concepts clearly impressed the Zoraxians. As the day progressed, it became clear that despite their alien nature, the Zoraxians shared many values with humans. They spoke of their own history, of overcoming division and conflict to achieve unity and reach for the stars. It was a story that resonated deeply with the human delegation. However, cultural differences soon became apparent as well. The Zoraxians had difficulty grasping certain human concepts, particularly those related to individual privacy and ownership. Their society was far more communal, with a level of mental and emotional interconnectedness that humans could scarcely imagine. Yuki Tanaka, the linguist, found herself fascinated by the nuances of Zoraxian communication. Their language isn't just verbal or even telepathic, she explained to her colleagues during a brief break. It's a complex interplay of thought, emotion, and physical cues. We're only scratching the surface of understanding it. As night fell, both delegations agreed to pause for rest. The Zoraxians retreated to their ship, while the human team gathered to debrief and process the day's events. Amelia looked around at her team, seeing a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration on their faces. "Well," she said with a smile, "I'd say that was a successful first day." Thoughts? James was the first to speak up. "Their biology is fascinating. The potential medical applications of their bioluminescent properties alone could revolutionize our healthcare." Zara nodded enthusiastically. "And their computational systems, they're not just more advanced, they're fundamentally different. It's like they've taken a completely different evolutionary path in computer science." Maya, however, looked thoughtful. "We need to be careful," she cautioned. "Yes, there's incredible potential here, but we're dealing with a civilization far more advanced than our own. We need to ensure we're not rushing into anything we're not prepared for." Gabriel Silva, the anthropologist, agreed. "Maya's right. We're seeing a lot of similarities, which is encouraging, but we shouldn't overlook the profound differences. Their communal mindset, for instance, it's so alien to our concept of individual rights. We need to navigate these cultural differences carefully." The discussion continued late into the night, the team analyzing every interaction, every piece of information shared. They were acutely aware that they weren't just scientists or diplomats anymore. They were the representatives of all humanity, tasked with shepherding Earth into a new era of interstellar relations. The next morning, as the sun rose over the horizon, Casting a warm glow on the alien ship, the EDC team prepared for another day of talks. But this day would bring unexpected challenges. As they entered the conference room, they found the Zoraxians already present, their fur shimmering with what seemed to be agitation. Zorlai stepped forward, its multifaceted eyes reflecting concern. "Friends," the aliens' thoughts resonated in their minds, "we have received troubling news from our homeworld. A rogue faction among our people opposes this contact. They believe younger species like yours should develop without interference. We may need to cut our visit short." The news hit the human delegation like a shockwave. The idea that there could be division among the seemingly unified Zoraxians was surprising enough, but the prospect of this historic visit being cut short was devastating. Amelia felt a moment of panic, but quickly composed herself. This was a crucial moment. How they responded could determine the future of human-Zoraxian relations. "Zorlai," she said, her voice steady, "we understand your concern. But please, don't make a hasty decision. We've only just begun to know each other. Surely, there must be a way to address these concerns without ending our dialogue." Maya stepped forward, her diplomatic skills coming to the fore. "Indeed. Perhaps if we understood the nature of these concerns, we could work together to address them. Our own history is filled with instances of overcoming such divisions." The Zoraxians conferred among themselves, their fur shimmering in complex patterns. Finally, Zorlai turned back to the humans. "Your words have wisdom. We will share more about this situation, and perhaps together we can find a solution." Over the next few hours, the Zoraxians explained the complexity of their society. Despite their advanced technology and seemingly unified front, they too grappled with differing ideologies and political factions. The faction opposing contact with Earth, known as the Isolationists, feared that younger species might be negatively influenced or exploited. As the humans listened, they began to see parallels with their own history and current global politics. The fear of cultural contamination, the debate over intervention versus isolation. These were not alien concepts at all. Gabriel, drawing on his anthropological expertise, saw an opportunity. "What if," he suggested, "we could demonstrate that contact between our species doesn't have to mean losing what makes each of us unique, that we can learn from each other without one dominating the other?" The idea sparked intense discussion. Over the next few days, humans and Zoraxians worked together to craft a framework for continued interaction, one that respected the autonomy of both species while allowing for cultural and scientific exchange. It was challenging work, requiring all of the diplomacy, creativity, and intellectual rigor both sides could muster. There were moments of frustration, of misunderstanding, of near despair, but there were also breakthrough moments of connection and shared understanding that left both humans and Zoraxians in awe. As the week drew to a close, a new plan had emerged. The Zoraxians would return to their homeworld to present this framework to their people, including the isolationist faction. But they wouldn't go alone. They invited a small human delegation to accompany them. The invitation was both thrilling and terrifying. No human had ever left the solar system before. The risks were enormous, but so were the potential benefits. After much discussion, it was decided that Amelia, James, and Maya would represent Earth on this unprecedented journey. The rest of the team would remain behind to continue analyzing the data gathered and to prepare Earth for possible future interactions. On the final day of the Zoraxian visit, both delegations gathered once more at the landing site. This time, there was no nervous tension, but a sense of shared purpose and hope. Zorlai addressed the assembled humans, its thoughts resonating with warmth. "People of Earth, you have surprised and impressed us. Your adaptability, your creativity, your willingness to bridge vast differences. These are rare and valuable traits. We look forward to the journey ahead, both literal and figurative." Amelia stepped forward to respond, her voice carrying across the gathered crowd and to the millions watching around the world. "To our Zoraxian friends, and to all those watching at home, Today marks not an ending, but a beginning. We stand at the threshold of a grand adventure, one that will reshape our understanding of the universe and our place in it. There will be challenges ahead, but together, we will meet them. For in reaching out to the stars, we have discovered not only new friends but new aspects of ourselves. The future is bright, and it is bigger than we ever imagined. As Amelia, James, and Maya prepared to board the Zoraxian ship, they took one last look at their home planet. The blue marble of Earth, suspended in the vastness of space, seemed both fragile and full of promise. With a mixture of excitement and trepidation, they stepped into the ship. As the hull shimmered closed behind them, they knew they were leaving not just Earth, but an entire era of human history behind. Ahead lay the unknown, filled with challenges and wonders beyond imagination. The Zoraxian ship rose silently into the sky, growing smaller until it was just a glimmering point of light among the stars. On Earth, millions watched its departure, their hearts full of hope and their minds alive with possibilities. The human journey to the stars had truly begun. Technological leaps. The return of the human delegation from the Zoraxian homeworld marked the beginning of a new era for Earth. Dr. Amelia Chen, Dr. James Okonkwo, and Maya Patel stepped off the alien ship changed by their experiences, their minds brimming with new knowledge and possibilities. Their journey had been more successful than anyone could have hoped. The Zoraxian Council, including the skeptical isolationist faction, had been impressed by humanity's approach to interspecies relations. A formal agreement for cultural and technological exchange had been signed, opening the doors to unprecedented collaboration. As news of the successful mission spread, the world erupted in celebration. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger galactic community, and the promise of advanced alien technology had people dreaming of a brighter future. However, the real work was just beginning. The first challenge came in the form of the technology itself. While the Zoraxians were willing to share, much of their advanced tech was so far beyond human understanding that it might as well have been magic. Simply handing over the blueprints wasn't going to be enough. Recognizing this, the Zoraxians proposed a unique solution. They would share the fundamental principles behind their technology, but leave gaps for humans to fill in. This approach would allow humanity to develop at its own pace, integrating the new knowledge with existing human innovation. Zara Khalid, the AI and computer science expert, found herself at the forefront of this endeavor. The Zoraxians had provided the basic architecture for quantum neural networks, a technology that blended quantum computing with advanced artificial intelligence. However, the specifics of implementation were left for humans to figure out. Zara threw herself into the work, collaborating with a team of the brightest minds from around the globe. Progress was slow at first, filled with frustrating dead ends and baffling paradoxes, but gradually breakthroughs began to emerge. One night, after weeks of non-stop work, Zara sat bolt upright in her lab, her eyes wide with realization. "That's it," she exclaimed to her bleary-eyed colleagues. "We've been thinking about it all wrong. We don't need to replicate their tech exactly. We need to adapt it to work with our existing systems." This insight proved to be the key that unlocked a flood of innovations. By combining Zoraxian principles with human ingenuity, Zara and her team developed a hybrid system that, while not as advanced as full Zoraxian tech, was leagues beyond anything Earth had possessed before. The implications were staggering. The new quantum neural networks could process vast amounts of data in seconds, making breakthroughs in everything from climate modeling to drug discovery. Overnight, some of humanity's most pressing challenges became solvable problems. Meanwhile, in the field of energy, similar leaps were taking place. The Zoraxians had provided blueprints for a clean, nearly limitless energy source based on zero-point energy extraction. However, the materials required for full implementation didn't exist on Earth. This is where Dr. Amelia Chen's expertise came into play. Working with a team of physicists and material scientists, she began exploring ways to adapt the Zoraxian designs to work with Earth-based materials. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A young graduate student named Lai Wei approached Amelia with a wild idea. What if, he proposed, we use metamaterials to mimic the properties of the alien substances? Amelia was intrigued. Metamaterials, artificially engineered to have properties not found in nature, had been a promising field of study for years. But Lai's proposal took it to a whole new level. The work was painstaking, involving countless simulations and failed prototypes. But after months of effort, they succeeded. The new Earth-made metamaterials, while not as efficient as the Zoraxian originals, were capable of harnessing zero-point energy. The first prototype zero-point reactor was the size of a small car and could power a city block indefinitely. Within a year, smaller versions were being mass-produced, revolutionizing the global energy landscape. Climate change, once an existential threat, was now a solvable problem. But perhaps the most profound changes came in the field of medicine, where Dr. James Okonkwo was making extraordinary strides. The Zoraxians had shared the basics of their regenerative technology, a method of stimulating the body's natural healing processes to cure almost any ailment. James and his team of medical researchers dove into the challenge with gusto. They quickly realized that while human biology was too different to directly apply Zoraxian techniques, the underlying principles could be adapted. The key breakthrough came in the form of personalized stem cell therapy. By combining Zoraxian regenerative principles with advanced genetic engineering, James and his team developed a method to create custom stem cells for any patient. These cells could then be programmed to repair specific types of damage or fight particular diseases. The implications were revolutionary. Spinal cord injuries, once considered permanent, could now be healed. Degenerative diseases like Alzheimer's could be reversed. Even aging itself could be slowed, potentially extending the human lifespan by decades. As these technological marvels began to roll out, society underwent rapid changes. The abundance of clean energy and advanced manufacturing techniques led to a post-scarcity economy in many parts of the world. Advances in medicine and biotechnology reshaped the human experience of health and aging. But with these changes came new challenges. The rapid pace of advancement left many struggling to adapt. There were concerns about the societal implications of radical life extension, the potential for advanced AI to displace human workers, and the equitable distribution of these new technologies. It was Maya Patel, with her diplomatic skills and deep understanding of human nature, who helped navigate these turbulent waters. She worked tirelessly to create international frameworks for the ethical development and distribution of the new technologies. We stand at a crossroads, she addressed the UN General Assembly. These gifts from the stars offer us the power to reshape our world, to solve problems that have plagued us for millennia. But with this power comes great responsibility. We must ensure that these advancements benefit all of humanity, not just a privileged few. Under Maya's guidance, international cooperation reached unprecedented levels. Global initiatives were launched to tackle hunger, disease, and environmental degradation using the new technologies. A new era of abundance and discovery seemed to be dawning. Yet, even as humanity celebrated these achievements, new questions arose. If these were just the first steps, what further wonders awaited in the depths of space? And were there other alien civilizations out there, waiting to be discovered? The answer to these questions would come sooner than anyone expected. One ordinary Tuesday afternoon, as Amelia was reviewing data from the latest zero-point energy experiments, an alert flashed on her screen. The Deep Space Monitoring Network, vastly improved by the new quantum computing systems, had picked up an anomaly. At first, Amelia thought it must be an error. The readings suggested a massive object, far larger than any known asteroid or comet, rapidly approaching the solar system. As she double-checked the calculations, her hands began to shake. This was no error. Something was coming, something big. Within hours, observatories around the world confirmed the finding. A massive object, clearly artificial in nature, was decelerating as it approached the outer edges of the solar system. It wasn't Zoraxian. The energy signature was completely different from anything they'd seen before. As news of the discovery spread, the world held its breath. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, but now it seemed the universe was coming to them. In a hastily convened meeting of the Earth Diplomatic Corps, Amelia laid out the facts. Based on its current trajectory and speed, the object will reach Earth orbit in approximately 3 months. It's not responding to any of our attempts at communication, including the protocols the Zoraxians taught us. Maya, her face grave, asked the question on everyone's mind. Do we think it's hostile? James shook his head. There's no way to know. Its technology is beyond even what the Zoraxians have shown us. We're dealing with a complete unknown. Zara, who had been quietly analyzing the data, spoke up. Whatever it is, it's giving off enormous amounts of energy. If it's a ship, it's big enough to carry an entire civilization. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had made incredible progress in a short time. But were they ready for this? The Zoraxian exchange had been carefully managed, a gradual introduction to a wider galactic community. This new arrival threatened to throw all of that careful planning into chaos. As the meeting adjourned, Amelia found herself standing by the window, gazing up at the night sky. Somewhere out there, something was coming. Something that could change everything once again. She felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. The universe, it seemed, was vaster and more complex than even the Zoraxians had led them to believe. Humanity's journey to the stars was just beginning, and already it was taking turns no one could have predicted. As she watched, a shooting star streaked across the sky. Amelia smiled to herself. Once, humans had wished upon such sights. Now, they were reaching out to grasp them. Whatever challenges lay ahead, whatever strange new wonders or terrors this approaching object might bring, Amelia knew one thing for certain. Humanity would face it together, armed with newfound knowledge, technology, and a spirit of exploration that had only grown stronger since that first contact with the Zoraxians. The next chapter of human history was about to be written, and it would be penned among the stars. Joint mission. The revelation of the approaching object galvanized the global community into action. Within days of the discovery, the United Nations convened an emergency session to discuss humanity's response. The debate was intense, with opinions ranging from cautious observation to preemptive military action. In the end, it was Dr. Amelia Chen who proposed a daring plan. We shouldn't just wait for this object to reach us, she argued before the assembly. We have the technology now, thanks to our collaboration with the Zoraxians, to mount an expedition. We should meet this new arrival on our own terms, in space. The proposal was met with a mix of excitement and trepidation. It would be humanity's first manned mission beyond the moon, a leap into deep space that would have been impossible just a few years earlier. But the alternative, waiting passively as an unknown entity approached Earth, was deemed even riskier. With the UN's approval, preparation for the mission began immediately. The Earth Diplomatic Corps, in conjunction with space agencies from around the world, set to work designing and constructing a ship capable of intercepting the mysterious object. The vessel, christened the ESS Horizon, was a marvel of human Zoraxian hybrid technology. Powered by a zero-point energy reactor, it could achieve speeds approaching that of light. Its hull was composed of metamaterials that could withstand the intense pressures and radiation of deep space. Most impressively, it was equipped with a quantum neural network that could process vast amounts of data in real time, essential for navigating the unknown dangers they might face. As the ship took shape in Earth's orbit, the process of selecting a crew began. The mission would require not just the brightest scientific minds, but individuals with the psychological fortitude to face the unknown. Dr. Amelia Chen was an obvious choice to lead the scientific team. Her expertise in astrophysics and her experience with first contact made her invaluable. Dr. James Okonkwo was selected for his knowledge of xenobiology and the advanced medical systems that would be crucial for the crew's survival. Zara Khalid's mastery of the new quantum neural networks made her presence on the mission essential. The ship's advanced AI systems would be their lifeline in the depths of space. Maya Patel, despite her lack of scientific background, was chosen to lead the diplomatic team. Her experience in interspecies negotiation would be crucial if they made contact with the beings controlling the approaching object. The rest of the crew was composed of the best pilots, engineers, and specialists Earth had to offer. In total, the ESS Horizon would carry a crew of 20 humans, but they wouldn't be going alone. 2 weeks before the planned launch, as final preparations were underway, a Zoraxian ship arrived in Earth orbit. Zorlai, the lead diplomat from the first contact, requested an urgent meeting with Earth's leaders. "We have been monitoring the approach of this unknown object," Zorlai communicated. "Its technology is beyond even our understanding. We believe this mission is too dangerous for your species to undertake alone. We wish to join you." The offer took Earth's leaders by surprise. It was one thing to share technology and knowledge, but a joint mission into deep space was unprecedented. After hours of debate, the offer was accepted. The ESS Horizon would carry not just humans, but a team of 5 Zoraxian scientists and diplomats as well. As the day of the launch approached, the world held its breath. This mission represented humanity's first real venture into the cosmic ocean, and the risks were enormous. But so too was the potential for discovery. The night before the launch, Amelia found herself unable to sleep. She stood by the window of her quarters in the space station, gazing down at the blue marble of Earth. Tomorrow, she would leave it behind, venturing further from home than any human in history. A soft chime at her door interrupted her thoughts. It was James, looking as sleepless as she felt. "Couldn't rest either, huh?" he said with a wry smile. Amelia shook her head. "How can anyone sleep at a time like this? We're about to embark on the greatest journey in human history." James nodded, his expression turning serious. "Are we ready for this, Amelia? Really ready? We've come so far so quickly. Sometimes I wonder if we're moving too fast." Amelia considered his words carefully. "I don't know if we're ready," she admitted. "But I do know this. Ready or not, the universe is coming to us. We can either meet it head-on or wait for it to overtake us. I prefer the former." James chuckled. "Well, when you put it that way, I guess we'll find out soon enough if we're ready." As dawn broke over Earth for the last time in their foreseeable future, the crew of the ESS Horizon made their final preparations. One by one, they boarded the ship, each step taking them closer to the unknown. Amelia, as mission leader, was the last aboard. As she stood at the airlock, she turned to take one last look at Earth. The planet seemed so small from here, so fragile, yet it had produced beings capable of reaching for the stars. Whatever they found out there, she silently vowed, they would make Earth proud. With a deep breath, she stepped into the ship. The airlock sealed behind her with a soft hiss, separating her from everything she had ever known. The launch itself was surprisingly anticlimactic. There was no roar of engines, no violent shaking. The zero-point energy drive engaged with little more than a soft hum, and suddenly they were moving, accelerating at a rate that would have been impossible with conventional rockets. As Earth shrank to a tiny blue dot in their view screens, an air of nervous excitement filled the ship. Humans and Zoraxians alike were venturing into the unknown together. The first few days of the journey were focused on acclimation. The human crew had to adjust to the artificial gravity and the closed environment of the ship. The Zoraxians, despite their advanced technology, found the prolonged close quarters with humans challenging. Zara spent much of her time fine-tuning the ship's quantum neural network, teaching it to better interpret the vast amounts of data they were receiving from their sensors. The unknown object was still too far away to make out details, but the energy readings it was emitting were like nothing they had ever seen before. James focused on monitoring the crew's health, both physical and psychological. The stress of deep space travel was not to be underestimated, and he was determined to keep everyone in peak condition. Maya, meanwhile, worked on fostering understanding between the human and Zoraxian members of the crew. Despite their previous collaborations, this prolonged close contact was bringing cultural differences to the fore. Her diplomatic skills were put to the test, mediating minor disputes and misunderstandings. As the days turned to weeks, the crew settled into a routine. Regular briefings were held to discuss their progress and the latest data on the approaching object. Slowly, a picture began to emerge. Based on our latest calculations, Amelia announced during one such briefing, the object appears to be decelerating. Its trajectory suggests it will enter a stable orbit around Jupiter in approximately 2 months. Any signs of life? James asked. Zor Ven, one of the Zoraxian scientists, answered. We're detecting complex energy patterns that suggest some form of activity. But whether it's mechanical or biological in nature, we can't yet say. As they drew closer to their target, anticipation on the ship reached a fever pitch. What would they find? Another alien species, an automated probe from some distant civilization, or something beyond their wildest imaginations? Their questions were answered sooner than expected. As they passed the orbit of Mars, their sensors suddenly came alive with activity. We're receiving a transmission, Zara called out, her fingers flying over her console. It's aimed directly at us. The crew gathered around the main view screen, a mixture of excitement and apprehension on their faces. For a moment, there was nothing but static. Then, slowly, an image began to form. What they saw left them speechless. The being on the screen was unlike anything they had encountered before. It appeared to be composed of pure energy, its form constantly shifting and changing. When it spoke, it did so directly into their minds, bypassing the need for verbal language. Greetings, children of Earth and Zoraxa. The entity's thoughts resonated in their minds. We are the Ethereals. We have watched your progress with great interest. You stand now at a crossroads, and we are here to offer you a choice. The crew exchanged glances, a mix of awe and confusion on their faces. Maya stepped forward, her diplomatic training kicking in despite her shock. We are honored by your greeting, Ethereals, she responded carefully. May we ask what choice you're offering? The energy being seemed to pulse with something akin to approval. You have shown remarkable progress in a short time. Your alliance with the Zoraxians is unprecedented in our observations. We offer you the opportunity to join a greater community of spacefaring civilizations. But be warned, this path is not without its dangers. There are forces in the universe that view emerging species as a threat. If you accept, you will face challenges beyond anything you have yet encountered. The implications of the Ethereal's words hung heavy in the air. This wasn't just first contact. It was an invitation to step onto a galactic stage they had only begun to imagine. Amelia felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her. As mission leader, the others would look to her for guidance. But how could she make a decision that would affect the entire human race? As if sensing her dilemma, the Ethereal spoke again. We do not demand an immediate answer. Return to your world. Discuss. Debate. When you are ready, we will be waiting. But know this, the universe does not pause in its motion. Other forces are stirring. Your time of isolation is over, whether you choose to step forward or not. With those ominous words, the transmission ended, leaving the crew of the ESS Horizon in stunned silence. Amelia looked around at her crew, human and Zoraxian alike. They had come seeking answers, but instead had found a doorway to an even greater unknown. Whatever they decided, she realized, would shape the future of not just humanity, but their Zoraxian allies as well. As the ESS Horizon began its journey back to Earth, carrying news that would change the course of history, Amelia couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and trepidation. They had taken their first steps to the stars, and the universe had answered. Now, the real journey was about to begin. The fate of 2 worlds hung in the balance, and the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath, waiting to see what humanity's next move would be. New horizons. The return journey of the ESS Horizon was marked by a palpable tension. The crew, both human and Zoraxian, grappled with the weight of the knowledge they carried. The existence of the ethereals and their cryptic invitation had profound implications for both their species. As they approached Earth orbit, Amelia gathered the crew for a final briefing. "What we've discovered changes everything," she began, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "How we present this information to our respective worlds will shape the course of history. We need to be clear, concise, and above all, united in our message." Maya nodded in agreement. "The ethereals offer is both an opportunity and a challenge. We must convey both the potential benefits and the risks involved." Zorlai, the lead Zoraxian diplomat, chimed in. "Our peoples have only just begun to work together. This new development will test the strength of our alliance." The crew spent the remainder of the journey carefully crafting their report and preparing for the barrage of questions they knew awaited them. As the ESS Horizon docked with the International Space Station, they were met with a hero's welcome. But the celebration was short-lived. Within hours, Amelia and her team were whisked away to address an emergency session of the United Nations Security Council. The chamber was packed, with representatives from every nation on Earth in attendance. The tension in the air was palpable as Amelia stepped up to the podium. "Distinguished representatives," she began, her voice echoing through the hushed room, "we embarked on this mission, seeking answers about an unknown object approaching our solar system. What we found was beyond anything we could have imagined." Over the next few hours, Amelia and her team laid out everything they had learned about the ethereals and their offer. As they spoke, they could see the shock, wonder, and fear playing across the faces of the assembled leaders. When they finished, the chamber erupted into chaos. Questions and exclamations flew from all directions. Some leaders saw the ethereals' offer as a tremendous opportunity, a chance for humanity to take its place among the stars. Others were more cautious, warning of the potential dangers of engaging with such advanced beings. The debate raged for days, not just in the UN, but across the globe. News of the ethereals spread like wildfire, dominating every headline and conversation. Humanity found itself divided, with passionate arguments on both sides. Meanwhile, the Zoraxian delegation had returned to their homeworld to present their findings. They too were grappling with the implications of the ethereals' offer. As the global debate continued, it became clear that this decision was too important to be made by politicians alone. In an unprecedented move, a global referendum was announced. Every adult on Earth would have the chance to vote on whether to accept the ethereals' invitation. The weeks leading up to the vote were intense. Amelia and her team traveled the world, explaining their encounter and answering questions. They were careful to present a balanced view, emphasizing both the potential benefits and the risks involved. "This is not a decision to be made lightly," Amelia told a packed auditorium in Tokyo. "The ethereals are offering us a chance to join a galactic community, to learn and grow beyond our wildest dreams. But they've also warned us of dangers out there, forces that might view us as a threat. We must be prepared for whatever we might face." As the day of the vote approached, tensions reached a fever pitch. Families were divided, friendships strained. The future of humanity hung in the balance. The night before the referendum, Amelia found herself unable to sleep. She stood on the balcony of her hotel room, gazing up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the ethereals were waiting for humanity's answer. Whatever the outcome, she knew that the world would never be the same. The vote itself was a marvel of modern technology. Thanks to the quantum neural networks developed from Zoraxian principles, every person on Earth was able to cast their vote securely and instantaneously. As the polls closed, the world held its breath. The results, when they came, were closer than anyone had anticipated. By a narrow margin of 52% to 48%, humanity had voted to accept the ethereals' offer. As news of the decision spread, reactions were mixed. There were celebrations in the streets of some cities, while others saw protests and calls for unity in the face of the unknown. But regardless of individual opinions, one thing was clear. Humanity had chosen to take its next step into the cosmos. The next few months were a whirlwind of activity. A joint Earth-Siraxian Council was established to coordinate their response to the ethereals. Plans were drawn up for expanded space exploration and defense capabilities. The entire global economy began to shift, with resources pouring into science and technology. Amelia found herself at the center of it all. Her expertise and first-hand experience with the ethereals made her an invaluable asset. She worked tirelessly, pushing herself to the limit as she helped shape humanity's future among the stars. Finally, after months of preparation, the day arrived to send humanity's response to the ethereals. A new ship, even more advanced than the ESS Horizon, had been constructed for this purpose. Named the ESS Unity, it symbolized not just the unity of Earth, but the growing alliance between humans and Siraxians. As the crew of the ESS Unity prepared for launch, Amelia was surprised to find herself named as Mission Commander. Standing before her assembled team, a mix of the brightest minds from both Earth and Siraxa, she felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. "We stand at the threshold of a new era," she addressed her crew. "What we do here will echo through the ages. We carry with us the hopes and dreams of two worlds. Whatever we face out there, we face it together." As the ESS Unity lifted off, watched by billions across Earth and Siraxa, Amelia felt a sense of déjà vu. Once again, she was venturing into the unknown. But this time, it wasn't just a journey of exploration. It was humanity's first step onto the galactic stage. The journey to the ethereals vessel was smooth, the advanced technology of the ESS Unity making light years seem like mere steps. As they approached, the sheer scale of the alien ship became apparent. It dwarfed anything humans or Siraxians had ever constructed. A city-sized structure of impossible geometries and pulsing energy. As they drew near, a familiar presence touched their minds. The ethereals' thoughts resonated through the ship, welcoming them. "You have made your choice," the being communicated. "Are you prepared for what lies ahead?" Amelia stepped forward, her voice steady as she replied for all of humanity. "We are. We come seeking knowledge, understanding, and peaceful cooperation. We are ready to join the galactic community." There was a sense of approval from the ethereal. "Then let your journey truly begin." Suddenly, the view screen lit up with a dazzling display. Star maps, far more detailed than anything Earth or Siraxa possessed, filled the screen. Worlds beyond counting, civilizations, ancient and new, wonders, and dangers beyond imagination. All were laid out before them. "You have made your choice," the being communicated. "Are you prepared for what lies ahead?" Amelia stepped forward, her voice steady as she replied for all of humanity. "We are. We come seeking knowledge, understanding, and peaceful cooperation. We are ready to join the galactic community." There was a sense of approval from the ethereal. "Then let your journey truly begin." Suddenly, the view screen lit up with a dazzling display. Star maps, far more detailed than anything Earth or Siraxa possessed, filled the screen. Worlds beyond counting, civilizations ancient and new, wonders and dangers beyond imagination. All were laid out before them. "This is but a fraction of what awaits you," the ethereal explained. "There is much to learn, much to explore, but be warned, not all you encounter will be friendly. You must be prepared to face challenges, to defend yourselves and others." As the crew of the ESS Unity absorbed this information, Amelia felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. They had taken a leap into a vast unknown, full of both promise and peril. "We understand," she replied. "We're ready to learn, to grow, and to face whatever challenges lie ahead. Together." The ethereal's presence seemed to pulse with approval. "Then let us begin. There is much to discuss, much to prepare. The journey ahead is long, but it starts with this single step." As discussions began between the ethereal, the humans, and the Siraxians, Amelia couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. They were standing at the beginning of a new chapter, not just for Earth or Zaraxa, but for the entire galaxy. The path ahead would not be easy. There would be challenges to face, dangers to overcome. But as she looked around at her crew, human and Zaraxian working side by side, she felt a surge of hope. Whatever the universe had in store, they would face it together. As the ESS Unity docked with the ethereal vessel, preparing for the first official meeting between their species, Amelia thought back to that first detection of an alien signal, seemingly so long ago. From that small beginning, they had come so far, and yet she realized their journey was only just beginning. The stars stretched out before them, infinite in their possibility. Humanity had taken its first steps, and now, side by side with their Zaraxian allies and under the guidance of the ethereals, they were ready to leap into the cosmic ocean. As the airlock cycled open, revealing the strange, wondrous interior of the ethereal ship, Amelia took a deep breath. With a smile of determination, she stepped forward into humanity's bold new future among the stars. The story of Earth's journey to the stars was far from over. In fact, it was just beginning. But one thing was certain: it would be a tale unlike any other, filled with discovery, challenge, and the indomitable spirit of not one, but two species united in their quest to understand the cosmos. As the doors of possibility swung wide, Amelia and her crew stepped through, ready to write the next chapter in the greatest adventure humanity had ever known.